Yeah, it's no coincidence that I'm starting to enjoy my process, which means these small snippets will start to get a little long-winded and too big for Facebook. Uh, and because I promised you all that I'd be very brief with my perspective, if you decide to continue to follow, my premiere episode of my podcast is being recorded soon. I entitled it "The Shadow in the Empty Chair." And I encourage you all to download a copy of my book if you want a better understanding of the title. It's less than a book on iBooks, and that was done intentionally. But I think it's also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If my podcast ends up being a one and done, it won't be due to the quality of guests. Um, and I prefer journaling my thoughts before I share them with you all, especially when I'm discussing mental health, because key messaging needs to be clear. And this is as simple as I can comfortably function. So I'm trying not to sound dry. So if I appear as if I'm reading, sometimes I actually am, and sometimes I just got so used to presenting on Zoom that I was making contact in multiple directions, and I still practice that technique every now and again. But trust me, I understand the importance of delivery. So again, I'll do my best not to sound dry. But that's also the reason why I wasn't. I was at least hesitant to be the face of my own brand. One, I actually do enjoy promoting other people and investing in other people. But selfishly, I do believe I thrive best in the background, just blending in. But therapy has been beneficial, and I am starting to believe in my own glow again. So I keep showing up in these moments. It's not strategic. I'm just trusting my instinct. I'm hoping I'm in flow, trying to be like water as commanded by Bruce Lee. And I hopped on here because my sons and I have different opinions regarding the NBA GOAT debate. Personally, I do believe LeBron's greatest accomplishment is actually making this a conversation. And then he made a hater out of me, and I didn't even know I had that in me. But MJ is end all be all for me. And because I saw him as a threat early on in 2007 when he took the Cavs to the finals, and then he designated himself the king and then labeled himself the chosen one, I understood that he understood exactly who he was. And that's a dangerous combination. But especially for a black man rooted in his culture that is acutely self-aware. So my oldest son has been smarter than me since he was about 13 years old. And he made his argument because LeBron's his guy. And he said LeBron has known since he was a teenager that he had the capability of being the best basketball player ever. That's why he crowned himself the king, and that's why he labeled himself the chosen one. And yet he was still mature enough to share the spotlight, bring his friends along, and make sure his teammates was part of the experience. He said Michael Jordan had Dean Smith and Phil Jackson teaching him what LeBron knew innately, prioritizing teamwork over killer instinct. He said that level of emotional intelligence can't be argued against, but Mike's my guy, so I made my argument anyway. And I started it with some aggression. I said, it's fucking Mike, man. And I thought that was going to be the end of it, but he was still staring at me like, "No, okay, I need your dissertation." MJ's game is just aesthetically pleasing, man. If I could only pay to watch one player play basketball for the rest of my life, there is no discussion. Athletic, graceful, creative, artistic, and competitive as crap. But if Kobe and LeBron inspired you in the way that MJ inspired me, I completely get it, and I wouldn't persuade you otherwise. I simply value killer instinct over emotional intelligence, which is why I also put Kobe at number 2. And I'll try to rationalize my position. But when I find myself at the crossroads having to discern transformative life experiences, I need my mind to be calm. Because when my mind is calm, it's unconsciously connected and aligned to my thoughts, to my emotions, to my ambitions, which allows me to trust my instinct to direct my steps. And when it happens, it's very euphoric. It's rare, but it's very euphoric. And then your natural instinct becomes a killer. And for athletes, that's akin to being in the zone. It's just that killer instinct. And according to Roy Williams, MJ actually did have the intelligence, and he could have turned it on and off, and he just never fucking turned it off. So yeah, I was inspired by his energy to chase his own greatness. But then in doing so, I set myself up for failure because that standard was way too high. And I chased it anyway. Therapy has been beneficial. I don't watch a lot of b-ball now since KD left the Warriors and Westbrook started bouncing around the league a little bit. Russ is still my favorite player, bro, along with KD and Kyrie. But just a quick shout out to all the legends, though. Like, you're not defined by your era. The one thing you all have in common is greatness. And your greatness produced my delusional self-belief, which is rooted in the idea that the greatest version of me at any given moment will always be enough. That's why it's vital that I remain true to myself at all times. But doing that drove me into isolation as well. And then my depressive episodes were triggered by my inability just to visualize a better version of myself because I thought I had peaked too soon. And then my dreams died just from inefficient passion for life. And gentlemen, I'm going to ask for forgiveness ahead of time for potentially breaking any code at just this one time. Because I promise you I'll preserve any remaining locker room talk for our one-on-one sessions. But right now, I actually am trying to make a point. I'm trying to get more eyes, ears, and participants in this conversation. And the common thing and motivation will always include empathy. And I'm going to go first. I entitled my book, Maybe I'm Ill, because I wanted people to empathize and at least attempt to understand what it feels like for those of us experiencing psychological struggles, whether it be depression, anxiety, trauma, addiction, or substance dependency. Whatever it may be, it's all relative to a very intense internal pain that nobody can see, but you can absolutely feel. So yeah, I'm trying to draw in the audience, and I'm going to do so by discussing my vice. I'm going to try to do it in a creative manner. And as a licensed therapist, I do feel as though I'm talking way too much. But the goal is to spark a conversation. And I look forward to being an active listener when you all decide to share your perspectives. So I'm a romantic at heart. But if you were to ask me what the key to being married to my life partner for 20 years was, I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. But I do try to offer a perspective. And I think the key to sustaining any relationships, but especially those that are important to you, is just two people committing to seeing the goodness in one another despite the flaws. And if the relationship is invaluable, as you stated in your vows, then you just both work really hard to prioritize being good for one another so that forgiveness is a rare obstacle. But my shadow is selfish, man. He's self-preserving because he's been stuck in survival mode since birth. He's hyper-vigilant. He witnessed a lot of violence as a kid. And he couldn't find pleasure in anything that didn't promote pure passion. But we've been to couples therapy, and I understand my why. And I sleep very well when I've offered the world my best effort. But my shadow has nightmares, and he gets paralyzed in his sleep. He's a tortured soul. He can't live with his own guilt and shame. Tough to deal with his shortcomings. He's a bit of a perfectionist. So I go hard for him. It's important that I give my all because it means I'm leaving him nothing to torture himself with. But my shadow gets easily distracted. And it makes it tough for us to fight our battles because we're fighting for our lives in these streets. Seems a lot easier just to avoid the streets altogether and focus on my pure passion instead. And I don't really mind the heat that's beaming off the asphalt or that wind or rain that is affecting each shot I take at greatness. I'm competitive, man. And thankfully, my vision is stronger than the elements because it's backed by a higher power. But my shadow is a control freak. He prefers doing things the hard way. And although the social learning theory suggests that we should follow the crowd, I can't afford to mimic their movements. I just did the opposite. I followed my pure passion through the halls of hell. So I figured I'd at least share what I learned thus far. And I completely understand if I lose my entire audience in this moment. But God has been my saving grace, and his mercy deserves my praise. So at the age of 13, I believe that I received a premature promise in the verbs of the Proverbs 3:5 and Exodus 14:14. How I interpreted it was that promise. Because I was begging for the universe just to show me a way out. I was desperate to find my glow. But all I saw was darkness. So I just started journaling my prayers just to clarify my vision. And then I developed some treatment goals. 1, serenity, the state of being calm, peaceful, and untroubled. 2, courage, the strength to face your fear in accordance to your beliefs. And then 3 is wisdom, the quality of having knowledge, experience, and good judgment. I added those into an integrated approach, developed a few techniques, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking this sinful world for what it is, and then surrendering it to God's will. I think I had 4 fingers up when I was counting 5, but oh well. I'm sure you all are pretty familiar with that prayer. And I still chose to follow my pure passion through the halls of hell. I'm willing to die for my peace. Maybe I am ill. But what I found out is that my shadow is hypersexual. But he's not addicted to sex. There's the difference. My wife says I have horrible taste based on my fantasy crushes. I tried to convince her she's proof of my great taste, but my game is weak. She wasn't trying to hear it. There is no greater interaction than the positive exchange of energy. So I lust over her vibes above all else because it tells me everything I need to know. And if I assess her energy correctly, healthy communication will be a byproduct. So it eliminates what she believes to be our greatest issue. I'm inattentive, but I listen. I just have to simplify the complexity of our conversation. I use my own philosophy, only taking what you need. I strategically dissect what I have the capacity to carry. I can't retain it all, so I try to blame it on my mental conditioning. But my game is weak. She ain't buying it. I keep trying by saying there will never come a time when my every breath doesn't prioritize you. You are the fuel igniting my spirit to fight for better. I try to say it poetically. I don't talk much. I leave out a lot of important details that frame me as a liar. But my best form of communication is sexual connection. I articulate myself well. Makeup sex is how I apologize for my deficiencies. And if I correctly assess our connection, your body will tell me everything I need to know. Physical touch is my love language. Healthy communication is a byproduct. Emotional intelligence is a requirement, being fully aware of how much energy I must preserve to function at my best. What may feel like a zero effort to you is all I have to spare in that particular moment on that particular day. I do sincerely apologize for it not being good enough. But I've made my peace with it and how much I have to offer and how much I have to keep for myself. So makeup sex tells me everything I need to know. How to transfer that negative and positive energy by giving you exactly what you need in the manner in which you need it, and then ensuring that you have it all the time when you need it. I know your body well. My passion isn't fabricated. You are a priority. Oh, I went too deep on this line. I'm fully aware of the formula that equates to me being your perfect complement. Our frequency is the ideal wavelength. Makeup sex is harmonious. Yeah, I'm trying to sound suave. But my shadow is delusional. My personal perspective gets distorted. It's the only downside of taking only what I need, including my inability to give you the energy that I don't possess. My selfish behavior is an honest attempt at indulging in my own isolation, giving myself what nobody else can, just positive affirmation and self-love. And it's solely generated by how much of me I've preserved. So makeup sex is a happy compromise. Your body's just a bonus. Hypersexuality is my vice, making my love for you my greatest weakness. And I fully acknowledge and accept my flaw. From your perspective, we have communication issues. It's toxic to our marriage. I don't disagree with the notion, I just dispute the accuracy of your claim. But my game is weak, and you say, you sound dumb as hell. But then you ask me to communicate more. I mean, why would you even want, it's a paradox. So I don't say much, although I communicate well. I just reevaluate the situation from your perspective and then empathize with what you're feeling. It strengthens our bond, and healthy communication is a byproduct. But my shadow has attachment issues. He's stuck in survival mode. Maybe I'm ill, just genetically broken by my natural environment. I only know how to protect myself by being myself. But I'll keep trying to better myself for you and prioritize your needs. But because my game is weak, my words become nonsense, which is why I sound dumb as hell to you. But I still man up and use my emotional intelligence to cater to your needs, before then isolating myself once again to replenish what no one else can give me, just self-care. Marriage is a roller coaster. Oh yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Prioritize your wellness. Thanks for listening, and I hope you decide to follow the podcast. I'm actually starting to enjoy this process, and sincerely, it sounds cliche, but it really does take one person that's listening, one set of ears, to change one perspective that may go from dark to light. And because I understand that transformation and that transition, I don't mind being the face of my brand. I don't mind voicing my opinion. It's not my preference to sit here and talk as much, because I feel like I need to take a 10-year break just from talking the last year. But I do feel like it's needed. And if somebody else wants to take the mantle, then so be it. But I'm going to continue to do my part to my last breath, because this is my pure passion. So thank you all for listening. Prioritize your wellness. Catch you soon.